This could be arguably Arsenal's biggest weekend as far as the running for the Premier League title is concerned. The Gunners will be desperate to avoid another title scare like the one they suffered when they lost by 2-0 against Aston Villa, or similar to that when Liverpool lost to their arch rivals in Everton in the Merseyside derby by a similar score in the midweek. Welcome back from all that midweek action that kicked off with the Gunners beating up against Chelsea in a 5-0 thumping and ended with Manchester City hammering Brighton by 4-0. In between there, we had witnessed Bournemouth beat up against Wolverhampton Wanderers by 0-0, Crystal Palace getting the better of the Magpies in Newcastle in that 2-0 victory. On the same night, Manchester United overcame Sheffield United in a 4-2 victory thanks to a brace from the captain Bruno Fernandes and a last goal from Rasmus Højlund, while Harry Maguire had scored to cancel out Jadon Bogo's lead. Welcome back to the Football Tribe YouTube channel. Robert K. Sarkos is my name. Yes, we are here to review yet another weekend of Premier League action that will be coming your way from Saturday and through Sunday. Very entertaining weekend to look out for. Plenty of fixtures that you shouldn't miss out on. We'll be reviewing at least 2 selected games in depth, but I'll be letting you know what that lineup looks like as far as the weekend action is concerned. And without wasting any further ado, here is the run of fixtures that will be coming your way over the weekend. Yearly kickoff will be on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. East African time when Liverpool travel to the London Stadium to play an off-form West Ham United. Liverpool, coming out of that 2-0 defeat against their arch rivals in Everton, will be desperate to make amends or restore some little glimmer of hope, and then hope against hope that Arsenal and Manchester City go on to suffer defeats in the weekend if they are to reawaken their title chances. Action will proceed with 4 fixtures, all kicking off at 5 p.m. when Fulham host Crystal Palace. An on-form Crystal Palace, they have managed to beat up against Liverpool by 0-0, beat up against West Ham by 5-2, and beat up against Newcastle by 2-0 in their recent fixtures. While Fulham, things are not looking too bright for them recently. However, they'll be at the Craven Cottage to host Crystal Palace and the manager Oliver Glasner. Manchester United will be at home to play Burnley. Burnley desperate to avoid a relegation because they still have a chance. They sit just second bottom with quite a decent chance that they can fight relegation should they win all their remaining 4 chances and hope that their relegation rivals do continue to stumble in the running for that relegation. Manchester United on the other side will be desperate to win another consecutive game at Old Trafford following that 4-2 victory against Sheffield United, and while they are still basking in their progression to the finals of the FA Cup following that 4-2 penalty victory against Coventry City that proceeded a 3-3 draw after extra time. The other game will be between Newcastle and Sheffield United at 5 p.m. kickoff time, while Wolves will be at home at the Molineux to host another relegation-threatened Luton Town. At 7:30 p.m., Everton will be at home at Goodison Park to host Brentford. Now, Everton are still in high spirits following that gigantic victory against Liverpool that saw them brighten their chances of beating relegation to stay in the top flight. This fixture comes at the time when Brentford are 15th on the Premier League table, while Everton are right underneath them in 16th place. And to close off Saturday action will be Aston Villa up against Chelsea at the Villa Park. Yes, Chelsea will be desperate to rise from that humiliating defeat against their London rivals in Arsenal 5-2 on Tuesday to try and salvage a little more of their season. Like I did say, Chelsea still have hopes of finishing in those Europa League places, or the bare minimum, the the UEFA Europa Conference League, should they win all their fixtures. And that task begins this weekend when they visit Aston Villa at the Villa Park. And then, of course, action will proceed on Sunday with 3 games to play there at 4 p.m. sharp, that is East African time, will be the London Derby when Arsenal travel to their London rivals, that's Tottenham Hotspurs. I cannot overemphasize the importance of this game. Obviously, we'll look a little more in depth about that one, while Bournemouth will be at the Vitality Stadium to host Brighton and Hove Albion, who just suffered a 4-0 defeat in sort of a manner that I thought was quite unjust to them, while Bournemouth did beat up against Wolves by a 1-0 thanks to Antoine Semenyo's goal in that game. Wang Hee-chan had scored what he thought was the equalizer, but that was ruled out by VAR, counting on a Matthias Cunha foul on another Bournemouth player in the build-up to that goal. Against Brighton, against Manchester City, they awarded Manchester City a wrong free kick when Phil Foden slipped. That resulted into a goal that saw Manchester City go 2-0 up before Foden scored again to make it 3-0 before halftime. And then, of course, Julian Alvarez was the other player on target for the citizens. But Kevin De Bruyne had opened the account for Manchester City with that flying header that reminded us of Robin van Persie's 2014 goal against Spain in the FIFA World Cup that was hosted in Brazil. For those of you that remember, Germany won that edition, Mario Götze scoring the only goal of the final against Argentina to win it all for Germany, who in the run to the final had humiliated Brazil with a 7-goal thumping. We still remember all that as if it was yesterday. For us who are the Brazilian fans. Hi to all Brazilian fans out there. And then, of course, Super Sunday will be concluded at 7:30 p.m. when Nottingham Forest host Manchester City. Should Arsenal fail to win and Manchester City go ahead to beat up against Nottingham Forest, Manchester City will find themselves at the top of the Premier League table with a game to spare in comparison to all their title rivals. Anyways, we'll be looking at 2 games a little in detail. That's the London Derby between Tottenham and Arsenal, and the other will be between Chelsea and Aston Villa. Let's kick things off with Chelsea. Of course, Chelsea have had troubles with injuries throughout the course of the entire season, just as much as any other team has suffered them. Manchester City had plenty of them at one time. Newcastle has had a whole host of those throughout the season, which has sort of determined the way they performed in some games, oftentimes. And then Arsenal have had a fair share of their injuries. Manchester United have struggled with those, especially in defense. So that notwithstanding, with their £1 billion squad, we believe that they deserve to be doing more, but they are not pulling things off as things stand. And yet, Aston Villa have been quite spectacular at home this season, in spite of their recent slip-ups, especially during this year. One of them being, I think, a 3-1 loss against Newcastle earlier on this year, among other results there at the Villa Park. As far as form is concerned, Aston Villa have won 3 of their last 5 fixtures, losing one that was, I think, against Manchester City in that 4-1 loss, and drawing another in a 3-3 draw against Brentford, while Chelsea, on the other side, have only won 2, drawn 2, and lost 1. The loss coming up against Arsenal in that 5-0 thumping, and the victory is coming in a 6-0 victory
over
and
Everton.
a 4-3 win over Manchester United. Their two draws came up against Sheffield United and Burnley in 2 all draws respectively. That's as far as their form is concerned. Of course, Chelsea find themselves in 9th place on the Premier League table with 47 points, while Aston Villa are right up there in 4th place with 66 points. Well, Chelsea do have 2 games in hand, which, if they win, could push them higher up at the Premier League table. But as far as the last 5 meetings between these 2 sides are concerned, Chelsea have only won 1 against Aston Villa. That was back in September 2021 when they beat them at the Stamford Bridge by 3 goals-0. Aston Villa have won the other 4 fixtures, including a 1-0 victory for them earlier on this season. So clearly, it doesn't look like it is in Chelsea's favor. If we are to compare where Aston Villa are at this stage in the season, they are 4th, Chelsea are 9th. Clearly, under normal circumstances, you would expect Chelsea to be at least 4th, while Aston Villa would be languishing down in 9th. But that's not the case. Looks like Unai Emery has done quite a marvelous job at the Villa Park and will be eager to consolidate that 4th place to ensure that his team is guaranteed UEFA Champions League football. Both sides will have their injury concerns to worry about, with Aston Villa being without the likes of Tyrone Mings, Emi Buendia, Jacob Ramsey, among a few others, while Chelsea on the other side have a host of injuries, including the Argentine midfielder in Enzo Fernandez, who did undergo surgery and has been ruled out for the rest of the season. Their captain, Richard James, will be absent, as well as the likes of Romo Lavia. Raheem Sterling is a doubt for this particular one, while it will still come a little too early for the likes of Leslie Ugochukwu and among other players, including their forward in Christopher Nkunku. So clearly, they will be hoping to welcome back their top scorer in Cole Palmer, who has 20 Premier League goals to his name, as well as 9 Premier League assists. On the other side, Aston Villa will look for inspiration from their star man, that is Ollie Watkins, who has scored 19 goals and assisted 12 times so far this season. Leon Bailey, who has 10 goals and 9 assists. Clearly, Aston Villa have all the tools necessary to beat up against this defensively sloppy Chelsea side, with the likes of Leon Bailey, Moussa Diaby, Nicole Zaniolo, John McGinn, Douglas Luiz will be back in that midfield, of course, and then the likes of Pau Torres in that defense, Matty Cash, quite a very, very decent squad for them that they can utilize to hurt any of their opponents on a given day. Chelsea, on the other side, they will be hoping, or they will be desperate to make amends following that huge or humiliating defeat against Arsenal, especially in defense. Axel Disasi wasn't the best of himself on the night. Alfie Gilchrist at right back, starting ahead of Malo Augusto, who has had a wonderful season. Chelsea will again hope that Malo Augusto is available to start this particular fixture. Marco Cucurella sort of tried to fare well against Bukayo Saka, but he ended up getting one over him when he provided that assist for Kai Havertz, I think for his second goal of the night and the 4th for Arsenal. Then Moises Caicedo will have to do much better alongside Conor Gallagher in that midfield, and whoever will be featured up front. Nicholas Jackson will have to be sharper in front of goal, unlike he was against Arsenal. Noni Madueke, Mukalo Modric, they will have to be at the top of their game if they are to have a chance of getting the result in this particular fixture. Personally, I do think Aston Villa may just edge this one with perhaps a 2-1 victory. Do let me know what your thoughts are on this particular fixture and who you think will win it. Manchester United and Burnley. Manchester United desperate for results, Burnley more desperate for results. Erik ten Hag wants to prove a point to his bosses, including Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who has a huge say, perhaps the hugest say, in his future, whether he stays at Old Trafford or is let go. On the other side, Vincent Kompany wants to save his side from relegation, but Burnley have been far from their best this season. In recent times, they've managed to win a couple of games and hammered in a few draws here and there that have seen them brighten their hopes of surviving relegation, but away from Old Trafford, it could be a little too much to ask. On a good day, they can beat up against this Manchester United side, because Manchester United equally have also been far from their best. That defense has been conceding goals for fun, literally. But Burnley on the other side have also been shipping them in for fun. As a matter of fact, when you compare the two sides, Manchester United have conceded as many as 50 goals and scored only 51. That leaves them with a positive 1. While Burnley on the other side have conceded 69 goals in comparison to the 37 they have scored. So clearly, both sides are prone to conceding. Will it end in a draw? I do not think so. Can Manchester United edge it? Yes, they can. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was Burnley that were the ones to come out on top, because Manchester United are no longer indomitable at the Old Trafford. It is no longer the theatre of dreams that we have come to know of it over the years. Sometimes it's come to be a theatre of nightmares, like we saw when Fulham beat them by 2-1 on their own turf. So clearly, your guess for the winner for this one is as good as mine. I would understand if you do put your faith in Manchester United, given that Rasmus Højlund is available to lead that line, and perhaps Captain Bruno Fernandes will find extra inspiration following that midweek burst to guide his team to another victory. And on the other side, Vincent Kompany with his men will be desperate for all 3 points. And then finally, or lastly but not least, Tottenham up against Arsenal. Tottenham stand in the way of stopping Arsenal from trying to win the Premier League title. Arsenal have won a Premier League title before at the away at Tottenham. I think that was 2003, 2004. That game ended, I think, in a 2-2 draw, and Arsenal players celebrated in front of the Tottenham fans for clinching that Premier League title. So, Tottenham will surely be desperate to avoid a repeat of that kind of history. But more importantly, they will be eager to be the party spoilers for this Arsenal side. For the last 15 days, they have been resting, waiting, preparing, going through the deals, watching Arsenal play as they look forward to this particular fixture. This is their moment. Ange Postecoglou will be keen to get one over Mikel Arteta. The first leg ended in a 2-2 draw. And in the last 5 meetings between the two sides, Tottenham have only beaten Arsenal once. That was a 3-0 victory for Tottenham under the charges of then manager Antonio Conte last season but one. But Arsenal have won 3 of those 5 meetings, the other being a draw, which was this season. So clearly Arsenal seem to have the edge. Last season, the Gunners completed a double against Tottenham, 3-0 and 2-0 away at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Martin Odegaard being brilliant in that particular fixture. So clearly, it's a hot fixture. It's a library. It's a London derby. There's a lot at stake for Arsenal. The nerves could get the better of this Arsenal side, and they lose this particular game. We have seen it before. We've just witnessed them lose against Bayern Munich by 1-0. You could argue that Bayern Munich is a totally different opponent of different magnitude in the UEFA Champions League there, but they also did lose to Aston Villa prior to that by 2-0. Oli Watkins scoring in that one, and Leon Bailey, when Arsenal looked toothless, especially in that second half. So clearly, if you're Tottenham Hotspurs, you could look back at that Aston Villa victory over the Gunners and pick some inspiration or lessons. Arsenal would not want to let Tottenham have run-ins behind their defense like they did against Chelsea when Nicholas Jackson and Noni Madueke tried to exploit those spaces in the first half. And at one moment in the second half, actually on two occasions, Nicholas Jackson kept on firing blanks. In the second half, he hit the side net. So Arsenal will be desperate to avoid such mistakes or such blunders, because against Son, the result could be different. He's more clinical. Against Brandon Johnson, the result could be different. Against Richarlison, the result could be different. Timo Werner and James Maddison in that Tottenham Hotspur side. Both sides do not have so many injury concerns for themselves. Takahiro Tomiyasu had, a knock in that victory over Chelsea. Yes, Nicholas Jackson, who should have been sent off, by the way, stamped on his foot. And then Julian Timber, Mikel Arteta does say he's very, very close to returning. He did feature in an under game against Blackburn and he scored in that one. But this particular fixture may come a little too early for him. And then, of course, on the side of Tottenham, they will miss Destin Udogie. Is a doubt for this one, as well as Monel Solomon could be a doubt for this one. Their substitute goalkeeper in Fraser Foster is a doubt for this particular one. But again, Tottenham do have quite a decent squad that is available that can beat up against this Arsenal side. Christian Romero in that defense alongside Mickey van de Ven have been quite brilliant this season. That midfield of Juvis Bissouma and Pape Matza, Emerick Højbjerg, Dejan Kulusevski, James Maddison, Brennan Johnson as the captain Son, Richarlison, Timo Werner, all these are players that could hurt this Arsenal side. They do have the potential to go ahead and beat up against this Arsenal side. And like I said, the nerves could get the better of Arsenal in this particular fixture, knowing how important it is. The tensions could be a little higher. But Arsenal will want to stay as calm as possible. Of course, Arsenal do have all the tools also to equally beat up against the Tottenham Hotspurs, who will get the edge over the other. Arsenal have kept 4 clean sheets out of their last 5 fixtures, while Tottenham have not managed to keep a single clean sheet. So clearly, that tells Arsenal that we can score against this Tottenham side. But just because you can score, you should also be able to stop them from scoring on the other side. Yes, Arsenal do have that in them, that they can do it. They did it last season when they beat them at their own turf by 2-0. Can they repeat that? Well, it all remains to be seen. Mikel Arteta has a bit of a headache in terms of who he chooses. Vicario in the Tottenham goal has been quite brilliant this season, so Arsenal will know that. David Raya, I think about 13 clean sheets to his name, or 14. And then, of course, their backline doesn't really change much. You do expect William Saliba alongside Gabriel Magalhaes, who look to limp a bit in their last victory against Chelsea. And then Ben White scoring a brace against Chelsea at right back. It is at left back where you're always expecting a tweak or two, because Zinchenko is available, Jakub Kiwior is available, as well as Takahiro Tomiyasu. But I do think Takahiro Tomiyasu will start this particular one. Then in midfield, Thomas Partey, Martin Odegaard, and Declan Rice were quite brilliant against Chelsea. That dream midfield trio for the Gunners. They were able to watch it for the first time since the Community Shield game against Manchester City. Could Mikel Arteta overthink this one and swap Thomas Partey for Jorginho? We are waiting to see. Personally, I wouldn't expect it tactically. I would expect Thomas Partey to start ahead of Jorginho, as good as Jorginho is as well. And then that forward 3, Kai Havertz, I do expect him to lead that line, because he did score a brace against Chelsea. He's in brilliant form, 11 goals, Premier League goals to his name this season. Then Bukayo Saka, of course, to start, and then Leandro Trossard. I think he has done enough to warrant himself a place in the starting lineup. But again, you wouldn't be surprised if Mikel Arteta decided to go with Gabriel Jesus ahead of Trossard, or Gabriel Martinelli, who has been out of form this season and has been reduced to coming off the bench. But anyway, that is the picture of what I do expect for Arsenal's lineup vis-a-vis that of Tottenham Hotspurs. A very closely contested fixture it will be, in my opinion. Who do you think will win it? Give me your predictions. Personally, I'm yet undecided. I get the feeling that Tottenham could mount quite a fight like we've never seen before against this Arsenal side. And yet, the calmness that Arsenal have also shown us in different phases of this season could also communicate that they do have the potential to go out there and get the victory that they need. Will they get it? That remains to be seen. My gut feeling says Tottenham will really make it difficult for the Gunners, but they may just edge this one with perhaps a 2-1 victory or a 3-2. I just get the feeling that Arsenal will concede in this particular fixture. They have scored the most goals in the Premier League so far this season, 82 goals so far, and conceded just 26, leaving them with a positive 56 in there, while Tottenham have scored 65 and conceded 49, leaving them with a positive of 16 goals there, lying in 5th place. So clearly, Tottenham are prone to conceding. Do let me know what your thoughts are. But more importantly, do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Do not forget to like, comment, share, and follow for more as we wind down this Premier League season in the final bend of this Premier League season. Otherwise, stay blessed, have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.